became homeless, I was 14 years old. We had just moved down here, me, my three younger siblings, and my mother from Chicago, Illinois. Um, she was going through a new divorce, and I felt that with all of the stress, sometimes she would use me as a muse for her pain. And I feel like she started to recognize that. To a certain extent, she knew she couldn't control herself though from abusing me. So she got to a point where she would just tell me to get out. And I remember this time specifically, it was 9 o'clock at night. It was snow on the ground, and usually she would just have me go out there until she, and I would stay out there until she told me to come back in. But I remember being cold, and I remember wanting to move, so I just started walking. And she had one friend here, and I was friends with her daughter, so I walked from 21st and Emerson all the way until 46th in Arlington. And when I got there, I ended up being there for a couple of weeks. She didn't let me come home, so that's how I ended up homeless for the first time. The very first time, believe it or not, I actually felt empowered and saved and free. And I think that's only because I didn't understand the concept of being homeless. I was just happy at the fact that I was no longer in my mother's house. The second time was the worst for me because, like I said, I was 18 at this time, and it was a whole different ball game. I felt defeated. I didn't see a future for myself. I was terrified of what would come.
You've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm Dejana Rodriguez, and I'm strong, and I can do anything. I have learned so much from you, and I try not to cry, but I'm just so grateful to know you. I'm grateful to see this journey, to be alongside this journey for you, and how you're advocating for yourself and older foster youth in Indiana. Just never lose sight of how great you are, because you're going places, and I can't wait to be working for you one day.
So the Youth Action Board was actually very exciting for me to be a part of. We advocate on behalf of homeless youth, and we decide where certain funding is going to go when it comes to programs that'll help stop homelessness for young adults and youth in general.
How can I possibly sum up very quickly what I respect the most about Dejana Rodriguez? I'm going to do my best. Day is a gentle yet fierce warrior, and she's a survivor who quietly leads with a strength that world leaders would envy. And to top it all off, she's a poet.
Also, I started to write down what it was that I wanted. I started writing down my feelings. I started reading things, and it's almost like they were signs for me, signs and synchronicities. And I noticed that when I would write certain things down, sometimes they would come into fruition. So everything that I have now, I wrote it down when I didn't have anything. And that has become a really powerful tool for me.
One of the things I most respect about you is your passion. You have a lot of passion and goals and desire to change foster care, and also to change the system in ways that are better and to help other youth. So that is one of the things I most respect about you. I just want to wish you all the best, and congratulations again on this award.
Hi, my name is Megan Tribble, and I'm the Director of Youth Engagement at Foster Success. I've had the pleasure of knowing Day for about a year now, and in that very short amount of time, Day has grown into becoming such a strong advocate for youth in foster care. She has become this social justice warrior that everyone should look up to and admire.
Has been consistent throughout the time I was with her. She's fallen down, but she gets back up. And she comes harder than she did when she fell down. And that's just present day now. I mean, she's so determined. She graduated high school, and she's taking college courses, and she's trying to open a business, and she's doing all these amazing things that I knew she was always capable of doing.
I would like her to know that I am so proud of her. She's made so much progress. It's a night and day difference from when I first met her to now. She's so capable and has so much potential to do great things. And I just want her to keep dreaming big and pursuing her hopes and dreams.
Respect her commitment to paying it forward. Given all that Day has worked through, it would be really easy to walk away from others and only focus on herself. However, Day has used adversity and challenges to drive her to improve her life and the lives of others.
Again, congratulations, Day. I'm super proud of you, and I'm so excited for you to have this award. It's well deserved.
And thank you for being you, because being you is beautiful and is a treasure to all of us. And you, my dear, are more than enough.
What do I hope to teach and inspire others through my work? Number one, do not let anyone, not even yourself, tell you what you cannot do. You never know what life has to offer you. You never know who you can become. You never know what's on the other side of your trials and tribulations. All of us go through pain. All of us have unique experiences to offer to this world. I have experiences that you don't have, and you have experiences that I don't have, so we all offer something to this world. And I didn't think I would be where I was today, not even a little bit. Actually, I felt like such a burden at a point in time when I turned 18 and I was homeless that second time that I attempted suicide. I felt that much of a waste of space on this earth. And, now I know how silly that was. And so if I don't do anything else, I want to encourage you. Your pain teaches you things that pleasure may not necessarily teach you. Stay hopeful, stay positive, and that's what you will attract. Explain my involvement with the Youth Action Board. So the Youth Action Board was actually very exciting for me to be a part of. We advocate on behalf of homeless youth, and we decide where certain funding is going to go when it comes to programs that will help stop homelessness for young adults and youth in general. What other advocacy do I take part in? I also am on the Indiana Youth Advisory Board with Foster Success. It all started there for me. Actually, I would just attend the meetings and I would hear all these passionate youth, and it sort of inspired me to attend more meetings. And eventually it led to me having a speech on my homelessness. And, I ended up getting the opportunity with the Youth Action Board. From there, it was like a domino effect. Within 7 months, I've been advocating 7 months now. I also am on the Racial Justice, Equity, and Inclusion group with DCS. I am also a national change maker with Reimaging Children's Rights, and I am on the Youth Yes Fellows core group, where we get to discuss certain policies that we would like to see legislators change. What do I do for work? I am a college student at Ivy Tech Community College. My major is psychology. I also am an foster youth alumni, so I participate in several organizations to advocate for youth. I also am an independent distributor for a company called It Works, where we promote health and beauty. So the products that I sell help women lose weight, help women with skin problems. Me personally, it's helped me grow my hair. It has helped me change my appearance 360. So that is what I do. A few more ways that helped me overcome my situation was always focusing on the positive and shifting my focus. If I found myself thinking negative, I would quickly see a negative manifestation in my life, whether it be me losing something, accidentally hurting myself. But I found that when I looked for the positive in every situation, it's almost like I attracted more positive. I didn't focus on the fact that I was sleeping on the pallet. I was grateful that I had a roof over my head. I didn't focus on the fact that I had to walk 20 minutes to and from every day. I thought I needed the exercise. I didn't focus on the fact that sometimes I didn't have food. I looked at it as though maybe my body needed to detox and fast. And so it really became empowering, and I had this mindset of like, I can get through anything. Also, I started to write down what it was that I wanted. I started writing down my feelings. I started reading things, and it's almost like there were signs for me, signs and synchronicities. And I noticed that when I would write certain things down, sometimes they would come into fruition. So everything that I have now, I wrote it down when I didn't have anything. And that has become a really powerful tool for me. How did I overcome my situation, and who helped me from being homeless to being housed? Thank God for research and Google. In my free time, I had a lot of time to think about what it was that I wanted in my life. And I knew, number one, school was a big priority for me. I have always been a very, very, very good student. And school has always been one of my strongest strengths. But like I said, sometimes housing instability causes education inequity. So I knew that I needed to get back in school and everything would be okay. Once back into school, I was able to get free bus passes, so that helped with transportation costs. The next thing was I ended up doing research. I felt in my heart that there had to be some help that the system could give me as a former foster youth, and so I ended up just doing so much research, and I came across a company called Foster Success. I ended up looking at the address. I spent the last few dollars that I had to catch an Uber up there the very next day. I don't think any buses went to the location. So I remember once getting there, her name was Alyssa Kennedy. She ended up telling me that they could help, but I kind of sort of had the wrong info. So she ended up giving me the contact information that I needed, and from there on, I was able to get in contact with DCS, and it sort of gave me faith and hope to keep going. I felt that what I was going through at the moment wouldn't be forever. I just knew that things would turn on the bright side eventually. Also, I am very grateful that I have sometimes strangers that offer help when I need to. Another one, I had a few friends that let me sleep on their couches. So I was very grateful for that until I ended up getting into my apartment. What challenges did I face while being homeless? So there were plenty. The first I am going to hit on is unemployment. Employment in general. So when you are homeless, if you don't have, for me specifically, moving around, I lost certain documents. I lost my birth certificate. I lost my social security card. And it's hard to have an address for that stuff to go to. And if you don't have an address for your documents, you don't have your documents, then you can't find a job. So employment was a hard thing for me, just waiting on paperwork. The next thing was transportation. I was in school during the day, and I had only like 2 more months before I finished high school, and I would have to catch the bus. So, the bus system, I use my resources, but sometimes the bus system isn't all the way reliable. So a really big thing for me, I remember having to get up like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours before I even started school, walk 20 minutes every day to the bus stop, just to sometimes miss the second bus and then, arrive late at school, and then my teachers being unsupportive because they didn't realize what I was going through behind closed doors. So yeah, the next thing leading into education, sometimes housing instability causes education inequity. So, I was falling behind just a little bit. I was still able to maintain, but I was falling behind in school just a little bit. And then when I ended up getting a job, because of transportation, sometimes I would have to pull overnights. And so I would be working. I wouldn't have time to go to the house after work. I would have to go straight to school. So sometimes, some days, if I didn't sleep, money was an issue. Before I ended up working, I was donating plasma, and I would have to use my money to catch the bus, and I would have to budget out my groceries for the week. Also a phone, staying in contact with people. Sometimes if you have to juggle between what you're going to eat, and how you're going to provide for yourself, a phone isn't as important. So, and then, feeling like you don't have support, feeling judged. And another big thing for me was I'm usually the person that a lot of people need. And so being in a position where I needed people was very, very, very humbling and hard for me at a point in time, but it was very eye-opening. And those are a few challenges that I faced. How did I feel being homeless? The first time, like I said, I was only 14, so I don't think I understood the concept of what being homeless was. And so I was just happy I was out of my mother's house. So believe it or not, I actually felt free. I actually felt saved and empowered. However, the second time was the worst time for me, because when you turn 18, you think about homeless, there's a bunch of things that you feel like you have to do on your own. I felt alone. I felt unwanted. I felt abandoned. I felt unsupported. I felt like a burden to everyone around me, and it got to a point where I felt like a waste of space on this earth. The third time, however, I had already been homeless, so I was a little bit more prepared. I was uncertain, however, I was hopeful, and just tried to stay focused on the positive. So each time I had different emotions. Have I experienced more than one episode of homelessness? I was actually homeless 2 more times after that. The second time I was 18, and there's sort of this thing where when you're in foster care, when you turn 18, you just want to be free. You don't care about the statistics of the foster youth before you that didn't make it. You just want your life back. And so a lot of us sign ourselves out of the system with blind optimism that we are going to make it on our own. However, we aren't prepared enough for what that looks like. And so I found myself in a situation where I was homeless from May of 2017 until August of 2017. The last time I was homeless was in 2019. I was 20 years old. Following my case closure after I turned 18 and after I was homeless, I ended up signing myself back into the system. They ended up closing my case this time because they felt that I was taking too long with services, taking too long to finish school, and you had to finish school in order to get an apartment. They were right to a certain extent about me prolonging it, because I just knew that once I finished school, I sort of felt like I'd have no support. And so I was sort of taking my time a little bit, and they ended up closing my case. Like I said, we have no family out here, so I ended up moving with a boyfriend. Ended up being a codependent, toxic, and abusive relationship. So I was quickly able to realize that I wasn't growing. I hadn't accomplished any goals, and I ended up getting arrested, which I had to make the decision while I was in there of, I know that once I leave here, I can either go back or I can start over. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I felt in my heart that I had what it takes to start from scratch. And so that's what I did. I ended up locating a cousin that I had down here. And so we made an agreement that I can go stay there while I finish school and, help her with the kids because she was a single mother. After 2 weeks of me moving there, she ended up deciding that she just wanted to move back to Chicago. And it sort of was very, very, very unexpected for me because, like I said, I had a week before I was supposed to be starting high school. I didn't know where else I was going to go. And so she told me to come with her, but there was things here I had to finish first. And I just ended up staying in her abandoned apartment. When did I first become homeless and why? The first time I became homeless, I was 14 years old. We had just moved down here, me, my 3 younger siblings, and my mother from Chicago, Illinois. She was going through a new divorce, and I felt that with all of the stress, sometimes she would use me as a muse for her pain. And I feel like she started to recognize that. To a certain extent, she knew she couldn't control herself, though, from abusing me. So she got to a point where she would just tell me to get out. And I remember this time specifically, it was 9 o'clock at night. It was snow on the ground, and usually she would just have me go out there until she, and I would stay out there until she told me to come back in. But I remember being cold, and I remember wanting to move, so I just started walking. And she had one friend here, and I was friends with her daughter, so I walked from 21st and Emerson all the way until 46th in Arlington. And when I got there, I ended up being there for a couple of weeks. She didn't let me come home, so that's how I ended up homeless for the first time.